Jason is 32. He lives in Austin, Texas. He earns $102,000 a year. On paper, he's crushing it. Stable corporate job, nice apartment, 2022 Honda Civic. He even contributes to his 401k. But tonight, at 8:47 p.m., he's standing in H-E-B grocery store. He picks up eggs, $6.89. He pauses, puts them back. Grabs the cheaper brand, $5.49. He checks his phone. Bank balance, $2,147. Looks fine, right? But his mind is calculating. Rent due in 5 days, $2,100. Credit card payment in 3 days, $340. Car insurance tomorrow, $198. A firm payment for his couch, $67. Klarna for work shoes, $45. Another BNPL reminder, $52. His grocery total, $127. Suddenly, eggs feel expensive. So Jason does something that would have sounded insane 10 years ago. He opens his phone, taps his BNPL app, and finances his groceries. Not a TV, not an iPhone, food. He splits $150 into 4 payments of $37.50. He tells himself, I'll figure it out next paycheck. But next paycheck never gets easier. Here's the question. How does someone making $100K still feel broke buying groceries? Money used to be simple. You worked, you got paid, you bought food. Now, people are taking loans just to eat. And this isn't rare anymore. In this video, we're breaking down why even 6-figure earners are struggling, how payment apps became survival tools, and whether this is bad budgeting or a broken economy. This affects millions of Americans right now. Let's dive in. Let's destroy the biggest financial myth in America. 100K means you're rich. That number sounds impressive. It feels like success. But here's the truth. What you earn isn't what you keep. Jason earns $102,000 in Texas. After federal taxes, FICA, Medicare, and his 401k, his take-home is roughly $72,000 annually. That's about $6,000 per month in actual spendable income. Now watch it disappear. Rent, $2,100. Car payment, $420. Insurance, $483 total. Utilities, $210. Gas, $180. Groceries, $450. Phone, $85. Subscriptions, $97. Student loans, $310. Credit card minimum, $340. 401k, $425. That's $5,100 in fixed expenses. He's left with $900 for everything else. Clothes, medical copays, car repairs, emergencies, social life savings. Here's the trap. Jason compares his salary to national averages and feels successful, but he lives in an environment designed for people earning $150K plus. Everyone around him looks comfortable, so he tries to keep up. Not lavishly, just normally. But normal in 2026 costs more than $100K can support. That gap is where BNPL enters. Housing isn't just an expense anymore, it's financial quicksand. In 2015, average rent for a one-bedroom in Austin was $2,100. In 2026, over $2,000. That's an 82% increase. Jason's salary went from $78K to $102K, a 30% increase. Housing costs grew 3 times faster than his income. This isn't unique to Austin. Phoenix, Charlotte, Nashville, Denver, all exploded. Just move somewhere cheaper doesn't work. Cheaper areas lack jobs in his field, require expensive car ownership, have worse schools, or lack healthcare access. People aren't choosing high rent irresponsibly. They're trapped in economies where housing disconnected from wages. When rent takes 35 to 40% of take-home instead of the recommended 25%, everything becomes fragile. A $300 car repair becomes a crisis. A $150 medical bill derails the month. When grocery prices spike 15%, there's no buffer. This is why BNPL for groceries grew 340% year over year. Not irresponsibility. Housing eliminated the margin for error. Jason can't spend less on rent, that's fixed. So he delays payment on the only flexible category, food. Here's an alarming stat. 2 years ago, 14% of BNPL users financed groceries. Today, 29%. That's doubled. Groceries are now the 3rd most common BNPL purchase in America, surpassing clothing and electronics. People aren't financing luxuries. They're financing survival. This represents a fundamental economic shift that should terrify policymakers. Food prices exploded. Eggs, $6 or $8 was $2.50 in 2019. Milk, $5.50. Bread, $4.20. Chicken, $7.80 LBBs. Ground beef, $8.50 LBBs. A grocery trip that cost $80 in 2019 now costs $160 plus for identical items. Wages didn't double. Median wage growth was 28%. Grocery costs grew 60%. The math doesn't work. People adapt not by earning more, but by delaying payment. Jason splits $150 into 4 payments of $37.50. No interest if paid on time. Instant approval. Frictionless. First payment fine. Second payment tight. Third payment hits when rent's due. Now he's juggling. Fourth payment arrives, but he's already made another grocery purchase. 2 active plans. Within 3 months, 5 plans. He's lost track. 15 million Americans financed groceries last month. This is crisis. Healthcare is the expense nobody budgets correctly. Even with employer insurance, Jason pays $285 monthly premium, faces a $3,500 annual deductible, $50 co-pays for doctor visits, and $150+ for prescriptions. These aren't luxury costs. This is standard middle-tier insurance millions have. The killer? Healthcare is completely unpredictable. You can't plan for getting sick. Last month, Jason got strep throat. Urgent care, $50 copay. Antibiotics, $35. Missed work, $80 lost wages. Total surprise cost, $165. Not devastating alone, but it hit when other bills were due. When grocery prices were also high that week, something had to give. That something was immediate payment. BNPL became the pressure valve. Americans spend $4.5 trillion on healthcare annually, $13,500 per person. Even with insurance, individuals pay $2,000 yearly out of pocket. Families face $4,000, $6,000. This isn't elective procedures. This is basic care and treating common illnesses. When survival costs this much, everything becomes negotiable, including when you pay for food. Healthcare costs drive middle-class BNPL dependence. It's not just big expenses, it's the invisible bleed. Jason's small subscriptions, Netflix $18, Spotify $12, Disney Plus $14, YouTube Premium $14, Gym $45, iCloud $3, Adobe $10, meal kit he forgot to cancel $60, car wash membership $30, Amazon Prime $15, total $221 monthly. That's $2,652 annually on services that individually feel justified. Each makes sense alone. I use Netflix to unwind. Spotify for commuting. Gym prevents medical costs. Adobe builds freelance skills. Perfect logic individually. Together, budget killer. This doesn't include car maintenance, $100 to $300 a month averaged, tolls and parking, $40, coffee runs, $60, grabbing lunch, $120. Jason's small stuff costs $600, $800 monthly, nearly $10,000 yearly. Because it's spread across dozens of transactions, his brain doesn't process it as major expense. It disappears into background noise. But when rent's due, groceries are expensive, and there's no buffer, these small costs eliminate emergency funds and flexibility. When eggs cost $7, BNPL doesn't feel like debt, it feels like survival. Small stuff isn't small, it's the difference between stability and stress. Here's where it gets dangerous. 47% of BNPL users paid late on at least one loan this year, up from 34% in 2024. 1 in 4 have 3 or more active loans simultaneously. Most alarming, 54% say they literally couldn't afford daily expenses without BNPL. More than half are dependent on these products to survive. This isn't convenience. This is systemic financial fragility. The spiral works like this. Month 1, Jason finances $150 groceries. 4 payments of $37.50, manageable. Month 2, groceries plus work shoes. 2 loans, $75 bi-weekly. Month 3, add groceries and car repair. 3 loans, $140 bi-weekly. Month 4, he misses 1 payment when rent overdrafts his account. $25 late fee. Credit score drops. Month 5, 5 active loans, paying $220 bi-weekly, $440 monthly. He's paying $440 monthly on payment plans for $500 worth of purchases, barely treading water. The apps make adding more easy. Pre-approved, one-tap checkout, 0 friction. He keeps going because stopping means facing full costs immediately, which he can't afford. BNPL doesn't feel like debt starting out. But managing multiple plans creates a web impossible to escape without income increase or drastic cuts. The psychological manipulation is brilliant and dangerous. 68% of users admit BNPL makes them overspend. 54% regret using it, yet they continue at increasing rates. Why? BNPL exploits how brains process financial decisions. 4 payments of $37.50 feels drastically different than $150 total, though it's identical. Your brain anchors on the small number, making purchases feel affordable when they're not. It exploits instant gratification. You get groceries now. Pain of payment is delayed, feeling less real. The terminology is designed, never called loans or debt, always payment plans or installments. Sounds harmless, responsible. In social media, where everyone appears comfortable, brunches, trips, new purchases, people feel behind. BNPL lets them maintain appearances even when math doesn't work. Most dangerous is cognitive overload. Managing 4 to 5 payment plans with different schedules makes calculating total debt impossible. Debt feels smaller than it is. Jason knows he's overspending and feels guilty. But the alternative, drastically cutting already basic expenses, feels impossible. He's not living lavishly, he's living normally. And normal requires debt now. This is the middle-class trap, looking stable outside, sinking inside. Zoom out from Jason's story. 33% of people earning over $100K now use BNPL for groceries. 1 in 3 six-figure earners are taking installment loans to buy food. These aren't high school dropouts or financial disasters. These are college graduates with professional jobs who followed every rule. They did everything right, yet they're borrowing money to eat. This isn't personal finance failure. This is systemic collapse. The data is brutal. 2015 to 2026 comparison shows rent up 80%, groceries up 60%, healthcare up 55%, vehicles up 45%, utilities up 40%. Median wage growth only 28%, costs rising 2 to 3 times faster than income. The gap can't be closed through individual effort or budgeting. Credit filled the gap. Cards, auto loans, student loans, now BNPL. Creates stability illusion while building debt foundation. But credit isn't income. It's borrowed time. This isn't temporary inflation. This is the new baseline. Prices aren't returning to 2019 levels. Wages won't suddenly double. What happens next? More people fall into cycles. More fragility spreads. More families one expense from crisis. The system stays stable until something breaks. Job loss, medical emergency, recession. Then the house of cards collapses. Economic decline in real time. You can return a TV. You can cancel subscriptions. But you can't return food. If people are financing groceries, that's not convenience. That's a system under pressure. When earning $100K isn't enough to feel secure, when middle-class families are one $300 bill from crisis, when buying eggs requires a payment plan. The problem isn't the people, it's the system. Until we fix housing costs, healthcare costs, wage stagnation, and inflation, this gets worse. BNPL isn't the villain, it's a symptom of an economy where survival costs more than stability pays. The question isn't whether people need better budgets. It's whether the American economy can function when the middle class can't afford middle-class life. So what do you think? Is this bad money management or a broken economy? Are you using BNPL? What for? Comment below. If you want to understand how money is really changing, subscribe now. Next week, why your savings account is quietly making you poorer. You won't look at your bank the same way. See you then.